Good evening and welcome to our Waymaking special on student mental health. I want to thank everyone here for joining us today to have this important discussion about mental health and its impact that it has on our schools here in Montgomery County. My name is Dr. Christina Chester and I am the Director of Psychological Services for the Montgomery County Public Schools. And talking about mental health as a community is so important. And so we must make sure that we are here trying to normalize our conversations around mental health in our community. We know that there is stigma around mental health, and we have to make sure that are we working together to ensure that everyone here can have conversations just every day and talk to each other around mental health support that they may need, their friends may need, their family members may need. And students have to be particularly aware of the impact of mental health stigma and what are the signs that people are in need of mental health support. And because we know that mental health impacts us just like issues around physical health. The brain is an organ in the body, just like the heart, just like the lungs. What can we do to make sure that we are having these conversations with each other to ensure that we all know what are the signs and symptoms of needed support and what are the things that each of us can do in order to get the support that we need? We know that these past few weeks in MCPS have been difficult in both here in the county and globally. There have schools that have had multiple events that have been going on that have impacted both our staff and our students. We acknowledge what's been going on within our schools, and we know that many of these events are unsettling to many others. And so we are glad that we are here today to discuss student mental health. And we want to make sure that as this event is part of our annual Mental Health Awareness Week, we are here today to have discussion with our students around mental health and the impact that's there. And as you all are taking part in activities throughout this week, we want to make sure that you all know, who are your trusted adults in the building? Who are people that you can go to get support in times of need for yourselves, your friends, and your family? So we encourage you to go out and to seek out the resource tables that are outside of our event here in the cafeteria today at the end of our event. We have lots of resources from our staff here in MCPS that can tell you about resources that are available in our schools, and also from many of our community agencies that provide support within our schools. And that we know that all of your schools are participating in this week. You have activities going on each day. We encourage everyone here and in our online audience to go and seek out the services that are happening in your schools and participate in them. And so, because we know that many of these activities are helping you to learn about what are some of the positive coping strategies that each of us can partake in, to learn what can we do when, as we all know, things get hard or things get rough. We're at the end of the quarter, right? You're starting second quarter tomorrow. And so what are things that we can do to help all of us as we go on throughout our school year? And so I also want to come and introduce our co-host here today, Viveka. So Viveka is a 12th grader in the STEM Magnet program at Montgomery Blair High School. And as the founder of the Asian American Mental Health Initiative, she is passionate about dispelling stereotypes, especially Asian American stereotypes that lead to stress and mental health issues.
Thank you, Dr. Chester. We are very excited to have with us here today our student member of the Montgomery County Board of Education, Mr. Sami Saeed, who will set the context for this conversation.
Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to the MCPS Waymaking special on student mental health. I'm really excited to have our student panel here today. Every single conversation I have with students, every single school visit I do, anything that revolves around students' mental health is one of the key topics. It's one of the key focuses students have identified year after year as a priority that we need to focus on. And so I'm really excited that we're not just talking about students, but we're talking talking to students. We're having students leading these discussions, which I think is key in any discussion, but especially mental health. So I'm really, really excited for that, and I'm really, really excited to say that we have a fantastic guest speaker here today. Dr. Barnett is going to be joining us. He's going to be sharing his story, his kind of journey from the NFL to now really the space of mental health and wellness, which I'm really, really excited to hear about. So we have a great event planned, we have a great panel planned, and I'm just really, really looking forward to it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we are very excited to have Mr. Will Jawando, our Montgomery County Council member and chair of the Education and Culture Committee, here with us today. Mr. Jawando, you have a few words to share with us today?
Sure, thank you, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you, and I've got my staff here as well, and good to see all the students. And this is an important conversation. I was just listening to I was talking to my colleague and actually my high school classmate, Robert White, who's a council member in DC, at large, same position. And we were talking about this recent carjacking. A 12-year-old was responsible in the carjacking that killed a 13-year-old just this week. And it's just devastating. You mentioned all these incidents, and I don't know mental health, if that was involved in that or not. But I know that our kids, our youth, on a whole range of factors are dealing with a lot more than any of us dealt with growing up. Social media amplifies it. We're one of 40 states that are suing the social media companies because of the algorithms that were specifically designed to make us want to compete with each other and make us more depressed and feel less valued and have negative self-talk. I have 4 children, I have a teenager and 2 middle schoolers and an elementary, and it's a daily struggle to get them to just have a good state of mind. And so this is not only a one-time conversation, it is something that we think about all the time as parents, as educators, as policymakers. And I want you to know, as chair of the Education Committee, we're going to make sure that we make the investments that are needed to support students in schools and at home. And it's an unprecedented time. And so I really want to commend MCPS and this school and everyone involved for taking it seriously. And just know that we take it seriously too, and we're here to support you. We love you. We want you to breathe and do well, and get off social media. That'll be my advice to you. That's one big strong step that we can take, or at least take breaks. Treat it like any other addictive thing. Don't do it often. So that'll be my word of wisdom. But know that we're here to support you. We'll be looking to make more investments this year's budget. We can't wait to hear from the school system, and thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being here with us. And next, I want to introduce Mr. Damon Monteleone, who is our Associate Superintendent for Wellbeing, Learning, and Achievement.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chester. It's really an honor to be here tonight as the Associate Superintendent, one of 4 actually in the Office of School Support and Wellbeing, and actually sitting here in the cafeteria where I was principal for 7 years. And so I entered this space as an associate, but also as a father of 2 teenagers, 1 son in college and 1 son who's a 10th grader here in MCPS. And I know that all of us who are parents and educators, right, we were all once teenagers. And we think we know what it was like to be a teenager. We were teenagers, but we are not teenagers now. We are not children now. And there's a big difference there. And so I really want to tip my hat to our students who have, over the years, repeatedly been drivers on this issue. They are the canaries in the coal mine telling us that something is wrong and that we need to pay attention to it. And we talk about the destigmatization of mental health and well-being for all folks, specifically folks of color. And it is really heartwarming to see our students lead this effort and frankly manage up to the adults And I appreciate what Councilmember Jawando said, and we appreciate the resources that we have had an influx into the school system. Over the last couple years, we've been able to put together a brand new social worker unit where we have a social worker in every single high school. We have units that respond and participate in activities and support at middle schools, and now this year as well in elementary schools. In this particular school, Richard Montgomery, and 19 other high schools, we have our Bridge to Wellness programs, which are in concert with the Department of Health and Human Services. And in the other 6 schools, we have our wellness centers, full comprehensive wellness centers with physical health and mental health and positive youth development operations. And this is in addition to the 160 plus psychologists and our pupil personnel workers and our parent community coordinators, right? And our counselors and our teachers and our custodial folks and our security members and every single adult, our bus drivers, our cafeteria managers, every single adult in this school system cares for our children. And I really want to underscore that. Every single adult cares for our children, and it's been our children who have led the way. So I want to thank you and welcome you again to Mental Health Awareness Week and this kind of apex event. This is an event that we've done for years. We can't wait to have our students come forward and speak about all their experiences and the questions that they have around this issue. One thing I do want to note that is important, during this program, our MCPS mental health staff members are available via YouTube chat to answer any questions those of you who are out there in TV land may have. And some of your questions that you are asking out there in TV land will be brought forward to the panel and asked here. I'm just as excited probably or more than anybody else to have Dr. Barnett with us. And if anybody's checked him out on his Instagram account or have looked him up online, an incredible story. And I know that we'll hear more about his introductions, but he's gone from being an NFL football player to a best-selling author and somebody who really has taken his time post his football career investing in our children. So I respect that very much. I appreciate being here, and thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so we know that we have people who may have questions around mental health topics, and so we want to introduce you all, for those of you who may know or may not know, to our Waymaking series. And so we have over 60 videos on a variety of mental health topics that are available also in multiple languages so that you can go and learn more around mental health, and it's available on YouTube 24 hours a day. So you can go online and look that up. And so today, you want to go? Go ahead.
Today we have a dynamic keynote address from Dr. Jay Barnett, who will talk to us about what mental health is and how it impacts students. Then we will talk about what students are seeing in our schools and what mental health support they feel is needed for students. This includes getting questions from the audience members to ask questions to the student panel and Dr. Barnett. We will also be interspersing videos from students on high school athletic teams talking about mental health in schools. Throughout, you can post your questions in the chat if you are here with us virtually, or if you're here with us in person. Please write down your questions on the note cards that will be passed out. And several of our mental health staff members will compile the questions so that the panelists respond to your questions in the third section of the program. I want to quickly review our highlights of this year's virtual Mental Health Awareness Week. Students can get up to 8.5 SSL hours for listening to the asynchronous training opportunities marked by an SSL next to them, and complete the online form documenting what you've watched and attending each of the 2 live events this week. There's a range of topics on mental health available on the site. Also, with each of the live events, you can ask questions to the experts during the Q&A sessions. Saturday's live event will be a resource fair that will highlight various agencies that provide mental health services in Montgomery County. Each of the live events can be viewed virtually and can be watched on YouTube or the MCPS main website. With that, let's proceed with our presentations for this evening, beginning with our keynote speaker. I want to welcome our keynote speaker, Dr. Jay Barnett, who will provide a brief introduction of himself before he begins with his presentation. Dr. Barnett.
Right. Okay. Is the mic on? Are we good, Eric? All right. How you guys doing? All right. Y'all doing all right? I know it's late in the evening on a Wednesday, and so I want to say thank you to the parents that have came out, and thank you to the students. I'm sure it was hard to get you guys to come out, because I heard y'all didn't have school today. So I would say thank you for coming out and attending such a I think Councilman Will said it best. It's very unprecedented times, and so beyond need, beyond what is required for us to understand our mental health daily, because I feel that it's changing on a daily basis, because you have the war that is happening outside of our country, and then you have a war that's happening in our country, and many of us have a war that is taking place in our homes. But no one talks about the war that is going on in our heads. So it's a lot happening right now, so I want to say thank you to each of you for taking this time, and I'm going to sort of slow walk this thing before I get into the presentation of what I have, because I think we're in a time where we are not really taking the opportunity to humanize each other. And it's hard to humanize each other when you don't humanize yourself. And so many of us run like machines. And when you run like a machine, you respond as one. So when there is a mental health challenge and you lack the tools and you have a breakdown, this is where we have people who are just disruptive. We have individuals who are just driving, and all of a sudden you get out your car because someone cut you off, and you grab your gun and you make a reaction. We have somebody who says something on social media that totally shifts your day because there's a disagreement in political beliefs, there's a disagreement in how we see things, because now opinions cannibalize the truth. So we got people that are not only just arguing in person, people are arguing online. So we're in unprecedented times. And when you're in unprecedented times, there has to be a foundational system that you have in place. How do you manage the terrains of life? How do you manage the challenges of life? How do you manage when your picture doesn't get the likes, and when you don't get the job, when you don't make the team, or when you don't make the grade? How are you managing those things? And let me tell you something. Every counselor I know, I'm a family therapist by trade, every psychologist I know, every psychiatrist I know, every LPC, every social worker, the burnout is real. No one's talking about the burnout. So we're putting systems in place without the back structure that supports the work that's on the front end. What am I saying? It's very challenging to have a system that wasn't built for the demand that we have. So physically, people are breaking down to give help to people who actually need it. Every therapist I know is trying to find out, how do I balance my caseload, Jay? I got more clients than I do time. They've got more issues than what I've got methods, and what I have theories, what I have the answers for. How do you manage that? We have parents that says, how do I manage my household while raising a child that live in a world that is completely different from the world that I was raised in? And can I be honest, parents? You're going to have to do away with how it was in your days. And I know that's challenging, because we grew up in a world, I grew up in the South, and you grow up in the South, what goes on in this house stays in this house. How many of you grew up like that? You didn't talk about what you felt. I grew up a PK. My father was a pastor. You didn't talk about mental health. You prayed about it. They slapped more oil on you than they put in that chicken fryer. I see people go to the altar and they get prayer, and the spirit or the demon and whatever it was that you was battling was still on you. The depression was still there. Because sometimes prayer doesn't fix what is happening in your head. And that's a real thing. So you may have to do away, parents, with what you've been led to believe that works for you. I have 3 nieces and 2 nephews, 2 13-year-olds and an 8, 7, and a 6-year-old. And I'm watching them navigate through a world that I have no understanding of, but I'm learning to make adjustments to meet them where they are. And can I be honest? I know it's difficult, but where many of them are is right here. It's interesting to hear parents says, well, I have to call Johnny and text him and he's upstairs and I'm downstairs. That's normal. I grew up in a household, they're like, Jay, come on down and eat. Now it's like, John, are you coming down? So where we are. Are you hungry? So the world is changing. So parents, my address to you, as the world is changing, what changes will you make to meet your child where they are? Because are you trying to work a system that no longer works? So that's my address to the parents, to the students. In a society that do not believe in privacy because you post everything. Oh my God, I just had this burger. It's so amazing. I just got this video game. Everything, there's no sense of like kind of holding something for yourself. So you're pressured with telling a story on a daily of how your life is going. But can I tell you, that's exhausting. It's exhausting to continue scrolling and flipping from story to story and scrolling and following this person, following this streaming, following this individual's storyline. It's exhausting. So my address to you, how are you managing your mental health in a world that has everything out to be seen? How are you understanding what you need in a world that makes us feel like, how many of you are familiar with FOMO? All the students. See, all the students have their hands up. The parents, you see, y'all don't know what that is. Somebody back there's like, FOMO, what is that? Oh my God. It's the fear of missing out. The average Gen Z struggle with FOMO so badly. I'm not going to bore you guys with statistics and all those different things. I can do that all night. But there's such a fear that you're missing out. And when you have this fear that you're missing out, your anxiety is always going to be high. How are you managing your mental health to understand that my life cannot coincide with how someone else has lived in their life? Because I work with celebrities, I work with entertainers, rappers, and if I can be honest, most of the things they post is not real. And here you are chasing something that doesn't even exist. And if you're not careful, you're trying to recreate a life that is just a figment of someone else's imagination. Tell you a story. When I started working in the mental health space, and I'm going to go in this story, and then I'll come back and share pieces of my story. So I used to mentor and work with girls in group homes and foster care. And I took this program all over Texas and Houston mostly. And many of the girls were victims of sex trafficking. Some of these girls was runaways. I mean, stories from all different walks of life. And there was a group of girls that I would meet with once a week. And the program that I had developed at the time was an emotional recovery program, because many of them were high level, meaning that in the group homes and foster care, if you're high level, that means you have an extreme issue with taking instructions, order. Their behavior issue was just like, some of these girls was like Tasmanian devils. So when they brought my program in, they said, we're bringing your program in because in order for some of these girls to go home and for them to leave and to go to a place where they can be safe, because the place was anywhere from 60 to 90 days. So they would try to get their levels lower so they can go home or go to a family member. Many of them were so angry because they were there. And while they were there, they would fight constantly. And this was white, black, Asian, Hispanic. They were all races and nationalities. And one of the things that I asked the girls one day, they were fighting. And I said, but you all are in the same situation. So what are you fighting about? Here's what I learned about them, is that no one knew why they were fighting. They just knew fighting was this outlet. And fighting had become something that they could use to sort of release the pain, the anguish, and the agony, because some of them had been violated sexually, some of them had been abused physically, and they could not punish the violator, they could not punish the perpetrator, so the only person that they can punish was the individual that was close to them. What am I saying? When you can't manage your mental health, it's usually the people that are closest to you that end up taking the brunt of what you can't manage. So for some of you teens and students, I'm sure your parents get most of what you can't manage. And the parent now is stressed because I can't connect with you, and by me not being able to connect with you, I now feel that I don't understand you. That's mental health. Mental health is not more than just, it's beyond just the disorders. It's how we live, it's how we eat, it's how we love, it's where we work, it's life in motion. It's ubiquitous now. Everyone is talking about it. In fact, I feel like the pandemic really just leveled the playing field, because mental health should have always been at the forefront, but the pandemic made everybody realize that we didn't have it together. It made married folks realize that I'm not sure if I like this choice. Made parents realize this is who I'm raising. It made everybody look at their situation. Be honest. I was in the office in private practice. Domestic violence was up. Child abuse was up. Divorce was up. Anxiety was up. Depression was up. And it was so bad, and I want you students to catch this. It was so bad that one of the girls in my program could not handle the stress of being at home with her mom every day. She could not deal with it. The challenge with the Gen Z sometimes is you guys think that everything is permanent, and it's not. Emotions is like you guys' weather. Tuesday when I was here, this was yesterday, Monday, it was 70 degrees. I had a t-shirt on and some joggers. Today it's 40. It's only 2 days later. That's how your emotions are. They change. That's why you can't trust them. They are good indicators that something is wrong, but you have to be careful to listening, because you can create something that's a long-lasting impact on your overall mental health. So, she not being able to deal with the stress that I can't be at home with my mom every day. So one day, she is 15 years old, a little brown-skinned girl, and the last time I saw her, I said to her, listen, you have got to manage your emotions. I want you to feel, but I also want you to be careful to not always trust what you feel. Because if you buy into what you feel, you miss out on what you know. And what you know is that this is not permanent. In her mind, she thought the pandemic was permanent. And her mom came home and found her hanging in a closet. And I get the call, and they called me to come out. I didn't go out. They asked me to attend to the funeral. I couldn't do it. Because I've had to answer countless calls from parents that their children or a child has died by way of suicide. And it was the most difficult thing because I said that only if she would have known that this was just going to last some months. But in her mind, it was going to last a lifetime. And when you have the thought that something is going to last a lifetime, you miss the opportunity to find a solution. You miss the opportunity to tap into a resource. You miss the opportunity to talk to a friend to possibly change your way of thinking. And it says, hey, I know the breakup hurt your feelings. However, this is not the end of the world. I know you're not doing well in math, but this is not the end of the world. I know you feel like you don't fit in, but this is not the end of the world. Because you don't want to throw away a life that's full of possibilities, full of potential, full of success from a temporary feeling. Because can I tell you why? I was almost a victim of that very same thing. And you know where those thoughts started? Right here in this age group. My parents divorced when I was 13. And my parents were pastors. And it was hard for me to accept the divorce because we were at church every Sunday clapping. This is the day. And you know, oh my God, we love your father. He's great. But I will go home. And I was like, oh, that's not the same man. So I'm in the 8th grade and I would watch TV shows. My grandmother watched shows. We talked about this at lunch with Michelle. My grandmother was a guiding light fool. If you're over 40, you know what that means. General Hospital, Young and the Restless, you know, The Bold and the Beautiful, Guiding Light. The Gen Zs are looking at me like, what? It's not Ryan and his toys? No, she's not watching Ryan. And so I remember watching an episode where a family went through a divorce and the parents was fighting over the kids. And I remember looking at my little sister. I was like, oh man, that'll never happen to us. For some reason, I never forgot that episode. And then it happened. And it was the most difficult thing to process because I love my family and I love my parents. And I can remember, I can step back into that 13-year-old Jay and remember the pain of my father bringing us all together and says, me and your mom are getting a divorce. And when you're kids, you're not privy to all of the different details. So we're getting ready to go through this major life shift, major life change, and they're not thinking I have to go back to a school to a bunch of kids who know my parents' business. Hey, man, I heard his parents are getting a divorce. Man, I heard his dad was having an affair. Man, can you believe that dude? Man, he was supposed to be the preacher of the church. He was supposed to be the pastor. I'm sitting in class listening. I'm like, bro, I hear you. You talking about my dad. And the pain that I had to live with as being a son, it was something that I could not understand. So I began cutting on myself. The self-harm started. And if you know anything about self-harm, it's what you use as a coping mechanism to not feel inward pain. Because the more that I would cut on my outward self, inwardly I was telling myself, you don't feel that. I do that all day long. Because I needed something to numb it. And let me tell you some young people, numbing it won't fix it. Smoking won't fix it. Sex won't fix it. Vaping won't fix it. And that's what I would do. And then I would put that helmet on because I fell in love with football because I said, oh, I got a place where I can go and be violent. And I can really take out on them what I can't do to my dad. That's where it started. And I never looked at that because there was no counselors. There was no one to sit down and say, hey, you just went through a major change in your life. You need to talk to somebody. Teachers knew something was happening because I went from straight A's to failing. I failed the 8th grade on purpose to get my dad's attention. The teacher would say, aren't you going to do your work? I'd be like, no, I'm good. I went from this just nice little kid to a monster overnight because pain has a way of changing your personality. I see the adults shaking their head because when pain happens, you change. And I changed, and that started this journey of I was a madman, that when I put that helmet on, I could be whoever I wanted. For some of you, when you come to school, you change who you are at home. You change because now I don't really have a place to act out. It's the story of the bully. Most bullies are being bullied. Most bullies are being abused. So I become a good football player in high school, and again, I'm just coping. And my coaches knew. They said, man, something's not right. And I go to college, and I'm a freshman. I'm starting as a freshman, and the coaches, they would always say at practice, I was a completely different person. And any counselor building would understand maladaptive personality. I had developed a persona to fit what had happened to me to cope with what I didn't want to feel. So one day my coach asked me, I'm standing on the field, and I would black out during games. I don't remember, seriously, when guys ask me, man, you remember this guy? I said, dude, I don't remember nothing. My coach come by, he says, Barnett, you ready to go? And I was just standing there, this blank stare, and he says, nobody's at home. I said, no, sir. Pain. Because for 60 minutes, I didn't have to feel the pain of rejection, the pain of abandonment, the pain of not having a sense of belonging. I said, Coach, I'm good. And the moment that clock would hit 3-0, I would cry walking off the football field because I now had to move back into a reality that I wasn't ready to deal with. That's mental health. And that thing that I wouldn't fix followed me into the NFL. And when I got sent home, I felt like a failure because I'm like, man, where am I going to cope now? What am I going to use? As Mr. Will said, what am I going to use as my addictive measure? Because football was an addiction for me. I love to hit people and run over people. They tell me, put this helmet on, run down here. Cool. It's going to be 4 guys right there, just run through them. Okay, cool. Put number 5 up there because I want to run through all 5 of them. Jay, that's not how this goes. I don't care. Just put them there. Because I needed something to lash out. And it's not until I'm sitting home and I'm sitting on my floor at 23 years old doing something I started at 13, cutting myself. Why am I sharing this? Because if you don't understand how to manage your mental health at 14, 15, 16, it will follow you into your adult life. That was my first suicide attempt. Because you know why? There wasn't a MCPS program. Because nobody talked about mental health. People just said, get over it. People just told you to deal with it. I grew up in the South. They called it the blues. They couldn't call it depression. My grandparents were sharecroppers. No one really understood mental health as we are understanding it today. Then at 30, 31, here I am. I found something to do. I started training athletes, and that gave me a little space where I didn't have to, because I was still close to football. I couldn't play anymore. But that kind of was filling that void until one day that didn't do it. And now I'm on my second suicide attempt, and let me tell you something. The first attempt, and study shows, and this is why you have to find somebody to talk to, because if there's someone that has attempted once, they will attempt again. Study shows that. This time I was like, all right, the cutting didn't work. I'm gonna really try to make sure I end this thing with a drug overdose. And I did, I thought I did, really did. I had a conversation with my parents, and I just said, because my father, we're in a better place now, but he says to me, here we go again with this depression stuff, man. And I just like, I said, you gotta be tripping. This gotta be a joke. And my mother says to him, because we're on a three-way, my mother says to him, can you not say that? And let me say this to you parents. If you don't know what to say, sit still. Sometimes silence is the best reply when you don't know how to respond to your child. Because that very thing that he said was the very thing that drove me. And I told my mother, I said, you know what, y'all have a good life. I'm done. She says to me, my mother's a praying woman, she says, you know what happens to people, Jay, that take their lives? I said, Mama, I don't care. I just want this pain to go away because I'm tired of trying to please this man, make him happy, get him to see me, get him to acknowledge me. He can acknowledge all these church people. I said, I'm just tired. And she said, please don't do this, son. I said, Mama, I love you. Bye, and hung up the phone. And overdose. And I thought I was gone because I was out for I don't know how long. And all of a sudden, my godmother finds me in the bedroom, under the bed. So when I stand here before you with all the degrees, all the accoutrements, all of the accolades, I don't just stand before you as a therapist, as a doctor in healthcare. I stand before you as somebody who's lived it and who's able to tell a story. And when I talk about where it started in my teen years. So when you're sitting in these chairs and you're thinking about this program, I want you to think about where you are today as a 14, 15-year-old, 16-year-old. So Eric, I want you to go to the 2 slides over. Yeah, right there. So I want you guys to look at this slide. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. This is, if you're in church, they're going to tell you mind, body, and spirit. But I'm going to tell you tonight, it's emotional, psychological, and social. And all of this determines the physicality, the physical part of who you are, how you think and feel, but it also determines how we handle stress and relate to others and how we make healthy choices. Can I tell you, your mental health will determine how you make your decisions, Gen Zs. This is why you got to be careful to not make decisions when you're not in a good place. Like the young lady, she made a decision. There's not a day goes by, and her mom asked me, says, can you please come to my daughter's funeral? I just said, I can't do it. It was just gonna be too much because I wanted to remember her how I saw her and not remember her in a closet when her mother found her. And just think, she didn't consider that could this pandemic just be a season? But in her mind, it felt like an eternity. So this is why you have to be careful to not make decisions when you're upset, not make decisions when you're confused, not make decisions when you don't know. Sometimes it's okay to sit in, I don't know right now, let me sit still. Let me call you back. I have learned in my 41 years of living, when I'm in a place where I don't know, I'm just saying, hey, give me some time to process. Because you make a decision and you're feeling, you don't know what you're thinking. And just think, what would you do if your mind was clear? Would you make the same decision? I have a close friend. He travels around the world and shares his story. I don't know if you may have heard the story. The guy, he's become a close friend of mine, Kevin, who attempted suicide as well. He jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge. And he's the only person that has lived. So he and I has a close relationship, and we talk and we sometimes do things together. And we've had conversation about the things that we've gone through. And he said, Jay, the moment my hands left the rail, I regretted it. His story is so unique because he landed on a sea turtle. He landed on that, and that's what saved his life. But I'm thinking about, he said the moment his hands left the rail, he regretted it. So meaning that he was making a decision in just a moment of the feeling, and the moment you make the decision, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I've had to sit and counsel so many young people who have made a decision, and I never asked why did they do it. I always asked what was happening. And they was like, man, so much was going on, and I'm sitting here, a 15-year-old has taken the life of a 14-year-old, and it's like, Mr. J, I wasn't trying to do it. It was just so much going on, and all of a sudden, pow, the gun went off. Your mental health determines how I've seen it in adults. They cut me off and I was just having a bad day from work and I just had to ram my car into them. And then you cause a 4-car pileup. In a quick second. Mental health. Next slide. Are y'all learning something? Is this good? Y'all talk back to me. Is this good? Because I'm up here sweating, so I want to make sure this is good. I don't know, they got these lights on lava, man. Woo. Miss Michelle, we're going to have to talk about these lights. But like I'm on on the stage plays, man, them stage lights. It could be the jacket, I don't know. So I want to give you guys the difference of a mental health disorder, a wide range of conditions that affect mood, thinking, and behavior. This is disorders. So I want to be clear. This is disorders. Next slide. Disorders. So these are the 5 common types of mental health disorders. Mental health disorders is the difference between mental health. Because when people hear mental health, they automatically go to disorders. They're separate. They're not one and the same. So mental health disorders, the 5 common type is clinical depression. And this is depressed mood or loss of interest in activities causing significant impairment in your daily life. Most of us at some point have probably felt depression. Clinically, the depressed is meaning that you have been diagnosed with depression. Can I say something to y'all Gen Zs? Can y'all hear me? these are not labels you want to attach to you for conversation starters. Okay? You got that? What's your name, brother?
Alex.
Alex, did that land well?
Yeah.
Because I love y'all. I work with y'all every day. Y'all are some of the most dopest. Y'all probably one of the dopest generation. But y'all will use these labels. Like, how you doing, man? My name is John. I have depression. Because see, once you attach a label, the human psyche is, we now have to be what I have. When I was in practice, I would often tell clients, you are not the disorder. You're not the depression. Your name is John, and you're challenged with depression. Because if you start saying, my name is John and I have depression, you will create symptoms that don't even exist in the DSM. I only want to eat vegan. That is not a symptom. I don't like red. I mean, the stuff I've heard in the office, I'm just like, yo, do you not like red meat? Or you, well, I don't think we should be killing cows. Okay, there it is. But so you have to be careful. And I get it that many of you are still trying to identify who you are, because let me tell you something, parents, when you're sitting down and talking with your children, listen more than you're talking. Meaning that even if you don't understand, follow what they're not saying. And I want you to catch that. Follow what they're not saying. And so you want to look at behavior patterns, but you also want to listen at what are they not sharing with you. And what they're not sharing with you is not how you fill the gaps, but it's how you gain a clear understanding of what's missing for them. Because if you have a child that has not found their tribe, has not found their community, their group, their friend circle, they will tend to hold to certain labels more, because the label gives me a sense of belonging. Because guess what they're going to do? They're going to link up with kids who, hey, mom, meet Matt. Guess what? He has depression. He has ADHD too. He's on that. Like, you have to be careful. And I know that we're in a world where everyone is trying to find out who they are, who they want to be, who they want to become. But just be careful, because you'll start attaching things to you, and later on in life, those very things will define you. So go back to the other slide. So I'm going to just go down real quickly. So we have anxiety. In short, anxiety, if I can sum it up, is being here and wanting to be there. In a short description. Most people battle with anxiety because they're afraid of what might happen. They're afraid of what could be. Here's how you minimize your anxiety. Always be where your feet are planted. That's how you minimize anxiety. Wherever I'm at, that's where I'm at. Anxiety increases the more we're trying to determine what the future is, what it holds, what she may say, what they may say. They may not like this post. Coach may cut me. Man, minimize it, because it's not going anywhere, but you can minimize it. The next one is bipolar disorder. This one is a more extreme mood swings ranging from depressive lows to manic highs. And the next two, attention deficit. This is another common one that we're seeing amongst the Gen Zs. I'd like to say it's the phones that is creating that, because all of the TikTok videos are like 30 to 60 seconds, so nobody's really paying attention. And that's not just in Gen Zs. I believe that's in millennials and that's in Gen Xs. Everybody's attention is not longer than 45 seconds. And then this is a more common one, PTSD, a disorder in which a person has had a difficulty recovering after an experience or witnessing a terrifying event. That's all of us in this room has some level or some form of PTSD. When we all saw what happened to George Floyd, PTSD, secondary trauma. We're seeing what's going over in Israel, over there, that's PTSD. I want to say this, and this is for everybody in the room. I don't care if you're a baby boomer or you're Gen Z. Minimize your television time. I know some of you like to be informed, but I can give you a little a secret. Don't start your day with that news. The news is one of the most depressing outlets that you will find. The world is already noisy. I said an hour traffic coming here. So I would advise you, if you're in the DMV area, you might want to start off with a little quiet classical music like my Lyft driver was doing, because this traffic is ghetto. So I don't think you will want to sit in traffic for an hour after listening to CNN. Just think about that. Just think about how your day starts. That's mental health. How you start your day is mental health. I usually start my day, I walk through my house, it has to be quiet. Now, when I played ball, when I played ball, I used to wake up and put on Pac, throwing some Biggie. I'm going hard in the paint, because that's where I was. I'm throwing Outkast, Big Boy, UGK. I'm going hard. Now at 41, and I was in my 20s, now at 41, man, you better put on some jazz, because I want to ease into my day. Because the moment you get out of that car, the world is noisy. You are met with demands. Next thing, put a time limit on when you are needing to stop work. This is for everyone. I'm not answering no emails at 5 o'clock. I don't care if it's Oprah. Well, if it's Oprah, I may respond. If she says, Jay, I want to do a sit-down interview, I may respond. 9 times out of 10, I'm probably not, because my 5 o'clock is a hard stop. Because if you don't allow yourself to relax, to debrief, to decompress, it's so much stimulation. It's too much stimuli to be on the road, on your phone. You listen to the radio. Your wife said, can you bring food home? Your husband says, hey, are we going to take this trip? I saw you took $30,000 out. What are you doing with this money? The kids are saying, hey, Mom, I got this project due. I need a suit. Hey, Dad, I need cleats. Well, son, you're playing basketball. Oh, I need hoop. I mean, you got all of these different things that are going on. It's too much stimuli. You have to give your brain a break. And if you give your brain a break, it allows you to settle yourself and center yourself to make the best decisions for yourself, and that is mental health. Even my mother knows I don't take her call before 10 a.m. I love her to the moon and back. Can't do it. I love her, and she knows it. That's a boundary, because I'm the only boy. If I answer that phone before 10, I got to hear what's going on with my sisters. Well, you know your sister needs some money, and so we know you just been on the road for a couple of weeks. You got a couple of $100 on you, Jay? Well, if you don't mind, I would love to go to dinner with you. I hadn't seen you in about 3 weeks. You know what? I was just thinking there was a new movie come out. Have you seen that movie? I saw this video on YouTube. Jay, these people crazy on YouTube. They say UFOs are coming down to take us. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I can't do it, because I've done it twice in the past 2 months and regretted it, because my anxiety was all over the place. After I got off the phone with her, I said, man, we about to get taken up by UFOs. Because the older your parents get, the more they become these conspiracy theories. Because they sit up and watching the news all day. I said, Mama, please stop watching that stuff on YouTube. Did you hear such and such died? I said, Mama, where did you hear that? They said it on YouTube. I said, Mom, that's not real. And I'm sitting there going back and forth, and guess what? I done missed my gym time, whole morning wrecked. Have a boundary. Gen Zs, have a boundary. Shut down. Take one day off a week from social media. I take 6 weeks off of social media every 6 months. My managers be like, Jay, how long you going to? I was like, I can't do it. Well, you got these followers, these people away. I don't care. Know when to take a break. I guarantee you ain't nothing gonna change if you get off of social media for a couple of days, couple of weeks. You're gonna hop back on that same thing. People lying, It's the same thing. Here we go to the next slide. Trauma, so I want to give this really quick, understanding trauma. Trauma is not only the event or experience, it's also the way you think about yourself. Trauma creates triggers. Triggers are nothing more than emotional landmines because you don't know it's a trigger until you trigger. All right, Gen Z students only. How many of you have a trigger? Raise your hands. All the students. What is your trigger? When people dirty your area? Okay, I like that. I'm a neat freak too, man. What's your trigger? When people don't stop talking? So are you triggered now by me? Oh, okay, I just wanted to know. Okay. All right, I like that. Who else had a trigger? Anyone else have a trigger? Who? Yes, what's yours? Loud noises? Okay, yeah, I'm with you on that. And I think that's because I'm getting older. Like my grandparents used to say, turn that light off. It's like, and I guess the light was making some type of noise, so I follow you on that one. So I want to give you guys something about triggers. Understanding your triggers. How much time I have? 5 minutes? Okay, I'll get through those managed. So understanding your triggers. If your trigger is knowing that you hate when somebody mess up your space, how you manage your trigger is you may have to remove yourself and move to a different space, right? The trigger is I can't tell people to stop talking, right? I can't control loud noises. So how you manage your trigger is understanding how you need to navigate through the trigger. Because if you don't understand how to navigate through the trigger, when you're triggered, you have a reaction rather than a response. And the reaction would be, man, why y'all messing up my place? I told you I like things like this. Can you please shut up? That's a reaction. Rather than like, you know what? They doing too much talk. Hey guys, have a great evening. You got to know how to manage your triggers. And as you're in this, this era, everybody seemed to be triggered. But no one knows how to manage their triggers. So I do like that you guys know that you have these things. One of my triggers is just people who have no understanding of space. You know what I mean? And so what I've had to do is that as people are like, because I get, like, hey man, y'all just look too close. What I've had to learn how to do is when I see people just like really just closing in, I start stepping back. So managing your triggers is so important. We're not going to talk about trauma. That's a little deep. Can we go to the slides where the next one? All right, so I want everybody to take a picture of this. We got 5 of these as we're closing out. And I kept these simple. Number 1, identify or work towards self-awareness of what is bothering you internally. Everything that's usually happening within us, everything that is happening around us is usually from something that is happening within us. So become self-aware that if mom or dad asks you, hey, why are you not talking to me? I think it's fair to say, me and Kelly got into an argument today. And sharing that you and Kelly got in an argument gives them context to say, oh, okay, she's not talking because she's mad. She's not talking because her and her friend had a little falling out. Does that make sense? So this is where you are now partnering with your parents to give them some form of communication without verbally communicating, because most of you don't want to talk, you rather text, which I get it. As my guy said over there, he's triggered if you talk too much. So, are your parents here tonight? Are they outside? They should have been in here, so they can hear you. Tell them. I don't know. We'll go back to the first slide. So, number 2, understand that your trauma is a data, not a diagnosis. And that is simply saying that if you have experienced any form of trauma, any event that was a negative experience, it's data, meaning it's just information. It's something that you can utilize to have a greater understanding of how you overcame that. And then you can learn more in the process of a therapeutic experience with the counselor, with the therapist, is meaning that it's not a diagnosis. Because sometimes when bad things happen to us, we will use that as a diagnosis, meaning that now becomes a label of how we define ourselves. Number 3, restoring or healing is not easy, but it's necessary to grow beyond your experience. Restoration can take place, students, in your peer group. Matter of fact, what you guys are doing here tonight is healing. It's restorative, because you're getting some form of clarity on some things that you may not have had an understanding about. The next slide. All right, and these last 3, identify outlets that are positive and healthy for your well-being. Some of you may have to change your friendship circles, because some of you got friends that just have that same, like in the workspace, they would call them Debbie Downers or complaining Toms. Like, you ever meet somebody that every day it's something? Oh my God, my cat was ran over. It's like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? Then the next day, I can't believe my husband left the pot on the stove and the whole kitchen. It's like, oh man, geez, like you ever meet people like that? And I mean, it's just like, it's always something. You may have to change circles, man. I was just talking about, I had a buddy like that, like I got to have a come to Jesus with him, because we're in a group text, man. Every day it's like, hey, can you guys pray for me, man? I'm like, bro, we just prayed last week. Which I don't mind praying every day, but every week, man, it's like, you know, give us a break. Okay, number 5. Our environment has a significant impact on our mental health. Having a sense of awareness of what needs to change in your environment is paramount. Believe it or not, and I'm not just talking about your neighborhood, your home, your environment has a huge impact on your mental health. So parents, as you're riding home tonight, have a conversation and asking he or she, how can we make the environment more conducive to giving you a better mental health? What can we do different? I never forget telling my mom, I was that kid, I was very disruptive. I couldn't remember telling my mom, can we change the color of this living room? Because this is just ugly. Don't say that to your parents, but that's what I did 20-some years ago. And my mom says, well, what color would you like to be? I said, green. Give it some life. But your environment is so important. Your environment is how you keep your room. Some of you are having issues thinking because your room is dirty. Some of you got plates under your beds. Some of you been playing a video game, you haven't showered in 2 days. Like, all that stuff impacts your mental health, man. I had to throw that in there so y'all can laugh a little bit. Talking about mental health can be a bit heavy at times, so you know, you need to laugh a little bit. All right, number 6, last one. You have a right to authorize a new story. And I don't think we talk about this enough, and this is what I've been able to do. Now, I've shared some very deep, vulnerable stuff with you guys tonight, but 10 years later, I'm 41 today. Not today as in my birthday, but 41 now. And just 10 years ago, I survived my second suicide attempt. I got in therapy. That led to me getting back to mentoring. I've always loved teenagers. I used to work with my dad in his church whenever he would do his youth days. I've always had an affinity for teens. I love teens because that was where I experienced my most difficult times and a lot of pain. So that took me into going back to school, becoming a therapist, going back, getting my PhD, all those different things. You have a right to reauthorize a new story. And I know some of you like to share your story, but it's okay to change the story. rather than what happened to me, why not begin sharing who you became after? I think that's important because that's what the world needs more of. Okay, I know that happened, but who did you become? So you get to see Dr. J today, and I was telling my friend, I said, I did not visualize me making it to my 40s. So me being in my 40s has just been ecstatic for me because I didn't see it. I did not think that I would make it past 30. Kid you not. I did not plan to be at 40, so I'm having to make a lot of new adjustments. But I like it here at 40, you know. And you kids like, oh my God, you're so awesome. You have no idea. The liberation of knowing who you are and being able to stand in that unapologetically is everything. So, in closing, recreate a new story for yourself. And you students that are here that are facilitating and that are curating this space, you guys have the opportunity to help other students create a new story by giving them the space, by holding the space, giving them the tools, but more importantly, allowing them to be heard. Because true healing cannot start until someone feels heard. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Barnett. We truly appreciate all of your words and your inspiration to all of us here. So thank you again for being here and supporting us.
Am I still up here?
Yes, you are still up here for our panel. Now, what I would like to do real quick is also to give some warm welcome and introductions to some of our extraordinary dignitaries that are here. And so I would like to introduce to our panel, to our audience, Ms. Julie Yang, Ms. Stand, who is one of our MCPS board members in District 3. Thank you so much.
I just want to say a few words. So I very proudly serve on the Board of Education together with our student member of board. My name is Julie Yang. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you, MCPS Psychological Service, for arranging this. As a parent, one of my most difficult moments 8 years ago was driving my daughter to a mental health session in a blizzard. It was a crisis moment. And since then, I see that our school system have made strides, huge strides, in the way we talk about mental health and in the way we provide services. 8 years ago, I couldn't see this happening. So I'm most grateful, and I'm thank you, all the parents, for being here, and thank you, students, for being part of it. Listening to Dr. Barnett, one thing that I take with me is the empathy and compassion we need to have for everyone around us, because we don't know what's happening in their life, in their mind, and it's important for us to be listening, to be that extra patient for just one more minute. And later on, I would love to pick your brain on what we can do as the school system to best help our students. But thank you, everyone, for being here tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Yang. I also want to introduce, I know we have a representative from Council Member President Evan Glass's office, Molly Lieberman, I believe. Yes. Thank you for being here. Also from our MCPS staff, we have Dr. Laverne Kimball, who is here, who is our acting chief of the Office of School Support and Wellbeing. Thank you for being here as well. And so what we're going to do now is that we're going to transition to our student panel. So we're going to ask our students to come up, and so that we can start our question and answer period. We want to make, so come on, walk up. We have We have staff members who are walking around with index cards. Some of you are already submitting your questions to us. We also have questions that are coming forward from the YouTube chat for those of you who are watching us online. And so please make sure as you see staff member coming around, like we have pens, we have index cards, write down your questions, and that we have mental health staff that are going to be bringing those questions up to our panel. So I'm going to turn it over to Viveka, who is going to start us with our first question.
So with that, we're going to begin. We hope that this panel serves as a dialogue. The panelists can build on what each other are saying. So let's begin with the first question. There are a lot of conversations in school around the need for mental health support for our students.
Oh, sorry, hold on, real quick. I'm sorry, real quick. I forgot to introduce everybody. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Okay, let's shift it. Let's shift it back, because I know you're probably looking at me like I'm crazy, right? Okay, so we got our students up here, and you're like, who are these folks, and why are they here? But first, as we go through, we have Alex. Alex, we want to, as our first panelist, he's an 11th grade student from Bethesda Chevy Chase High School. And they are a student leader of their school's Our Minds Matter Club, the advocacy coordinator for the Montgomery County SGA, and graduate of Mental Health America's Our Future in Mind program. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Chester. Excited for this conversation this evening.
Thank you. Next, we have our next panelist is Emma, who is an 8th grade student at Tacoma Park Middle School in the STEM Magnet program, and she is the secretary of her school's SGA. Welcome.
Thank you.
And then next we have Daniel, who is a 12th grade student at Richard Montgomery High School and the current president of the Montgomery County Students for Change. He is excited to raise awareness about the stigma of mental health in communities of color.
Thank you so much.
And next we have Coltoon, who is a 12th grade student at Rockville High School. She is serving her second term as president of the school's Our Minds Matter Club this school year.
Thank you for having me.
And our last panelist is Florencia. She is a senior at Quince Orchard High School and is an advocacy coordinator of the Montgomery County Regional SGA's Department of Advocacy Initiatives. Florencia works to encourage the conversation about the importance of mental health within the Latino community. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so.
With that, let's start with our first question. There are a lot of conversations in schools around the need for mental health support for our students. What do you think are some of the needs, and what's currently impacting the students in your schools?
So I think that a lot of things that are impacting us right now is what's going on in our school systems as we speak. So we kind of touched on this briefly, but right now we're having a lot of crises, a lot of moments where a lot of students are afraid for their safety, and that's affecting our mental health. I think the best way we can address this is by using the resources that we already have, having more counselors, right? So making sure that our students are able to talk to their counselors during the school day, by utilizing our school psychologists and our social workers that are present in each school building, by making sure that students know who they are and know their face. Because there's no use of us having these resources if we're not using them.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else have any comments they want to share with that question?
I would just add on that in addition to what Daniel said about adding more school counselors, I think also our school psychologists, school social workers, those staff that are very specific in their role in our school community that are maybe sometimes overlooked should definitely also be increased in that. And I know Dr. Barnett, you specifically talked about social media and all these different addictions and stimuli that we face as a society. And so also just being aware of that as you discussed, I thought was really important.
All right, thank you. I'm going to ask the next question. This one came from the audience. Actually, it is for Coltoon. And so on here, they ask, so can you share, like, well, who are some of our trusted adults in the building, and how would you as a student approach them?
I think some of the trusted adults in our building should be, like, first, our counselors, school psychologists, social workers, but also the teachers in our buildings. And I think it's important that our teachers are trained to address mental health crises, because not everybody feels that maybe a counselor or a school psychologist is their trusted adult. Maybe it's a teacher. And I think it's important that all teachers in the building know that they should know how to go about if a student comes up to them talking about a mental health crisis. So I think it should be teachers, genuinely anybody, any adult in the building should be a trusted adult.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And the next question.
Yes, question for Dr. Barnett. How did you get help?
So getting help was not the easiest thing. Being a black man and a former pro athlete wasn't something that you wanted to talk about. But I think as we're doing now with the destigmatization of having more conversation about mental health, but humanizing each other, I didn't feel that I could be a human being as a former athlete, because I'm looked at as this gladiator, and this is, well, you're big and strong, so you can take it. So getting help was difficult, but once I began getting the help, I became more open to receiving the help, because it's one thing to have help offered, but it's another thing to receive the help. So it was difficult in the beginning, but once I got in there, and I think something that could help any counselor or social worker is understanding that therapy and counseling is a relationship, and the student has to trust you more so than they trust your methods and trust your theories. They have to feel like they can trust you as a person, and that was the most important thing to me going into therapy, is that I can trust the person that I was working with beyond their credentials.
Oh, thank you. And so this next question, I know we're bringing up just because, and I don't know if members of our audience are aware of this, but we are actually in the process in MCPS of revising one of our board policies that specifically addresses how we provide mental health services in our schools. It's called Policy IJA. And one of the things that, since we are here with a student panel, and we definitely need to hear student voice. And I would say for any students in the audience, if you have comments to share, write them down on a note card, or if you're in the YouTube chat, put them in the chat if you have comments that you would like to share with the board around this. And so one of the things as I go around and ask our panel is, is there things, issues or concerns or, things that you would like to see around mental health in our schools that you would like the board to address in our policy? And so, and I'm thinking, Florencia, do you want to start here with this question first?
Yeah, sure. So I think, at least personally in my school, we do a pretty good job talking about mental health. Like we were saying, this week it's Mental Health Awareness Week, so there's been a lot of celebrations happening, but it is kind of an essential area of mostly English-speaking students and students who have the ability to go after school and participate in these events, or have the time to, with their parents, to go to things like these. But I know a lot of students, especially students of color, cannot. They have their own responsibilities at home as well as their parents. So I would really like to see a lot more mental health advocacy in different languages, or taking the consideration of how specific students' lives are being dealt with at home, and just having the perspective of not only things that we're comfortable with, but thinking about how we can include more people and diversify our mental health awareness.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And so then, but I also think, so I'm looking at Emma here, just because Emma is our only student up here who is in middle school. And I'm thinking, especially for our younger students who, sometimes they really don't get a chance to get their voices heard. So as our only 8th grader on the board, on the panel up here, what do you think, what are some things that you would like to see?
I think that it would be nice to see more online resources being provided that are more easily accessible, because a lot of students nowadays are going to magnet programs, or they live more far away from their schools and they can't attend everything going on at their schools. And I think it would be good to have more online resources or recordings of mental health events that they can access at home.
No, thank you, thank you. Now, and I saw, Alex, I see you're chomping at the bit here. So you have something you have to share.
I would just add that in the board policy, to make sure that especially there are more student voice panels like this, to make sure there is more feedback on what can be improved in our schools regarding mental health, so that more student voice is included and that students are helping actually shape what is being done in our schools to help other students.
All right, Daniel.
Yeah, so I think that what we need to have is more restorative justice. When someone's having a mental health crisis, like what Dr. Barnett said, is they're not thinking. They're not thinking about what's going to happen. They're not thinking about consequences. Their emotions are in charge. So instead of punishing our kids for having these crises by giving them detention, suspension, or any other kind of disciplinary action, what we need to do is work with them. So we need to utilize our restorative justice coaches, making sure that they get the mental health support they need, and there's a follow through so that something like that doesn't happen again.
All right, thank you. And now, Viveka, because I know, like, while you're our host, you're also a student here. Do you have something that you may want to share that you may want to see included?
Yes, one of the things that I've been working towards as an advocate for more mental health help is more specific mental health help, because mental health help is not general to everyone. It's not the same for different people, and specifically between races and ethnicities, it's not one mental health between different people. So we need to approach it in different ways. So, for example, for Asian American students, there are specific stereotypes like the model minority myth which affect them. So we need to look at the specifics behind each different race or ethnicity or group of people, rather than treating everybody like they have one mental health situation.
All right, no, Dr. Barnett.
So I have a question for you guys, and anyone can ask this. I've been working with my team on this idea. I'm in television and film, and I do a lot of executive producing. So I have this idea that we've been working on, is creating shorts, mental health shorts for students. As I think someone was saying, a visual aid or a short that allows student for about 2 minutes to sort of see a scenario and how the scenario is played out, whether the scenario is played out from a responsive or in a reaction, and what that leads to. And then at the end of this video, there's these steps. And then with the resources, do you guys think that's something visually that can be accessible? I think you said it, for the students that are not able to get to these events. Do you guys think that something like that would be advantageous and be proactive in helping students if they had something visually, as he said, to sort of help them navigate through a mental health breakdown?
I think that would be very useful. Like, during your presentation, you were talking about how everything is online. Everything that you do is online. You can order food online. You can talk to your professors online. Everything is online. And it's not even amongst our generation, but even the older generation who are now using social media as a way to get information or spread information. So I think that making short clips, especially short clips, and showing a real situation that occurs to children, adults, no matter what age, is really useful, especially because they'll be it can be an immediate thing to use. It's literally in their hands. So I do think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I also think this is a great idea, right? Because it humanizes it. Because we can hear about all these scenarios, all these stories about how we can deal with it, but it's different than actually seeing it. Us seeing an actual scenario take place, us seeing a reenactment, us seeing like what's actually going on, kind of puts us to really think like, wow, this could happen to someone, or this could happen to someone I know, or this could happen to me even. So it kind of really humanizes it, makes us more aware, makes us more empathetic to what's going on.
Another question from our audience. How have you seen mental health support in your school?
I'm seeing mental health support in Rockville specifically. We have one of the few schools in our county that has the Bridges to Wellness program, which is very helpful, but the problem is not a lot of students know how to access it, where it is, if they're even eligible. So I feel like instead of just implementing these resources, I think it's really important that students know how to access them. So that's the way I've been seeing mental health in our schools.
Yeah, so I think that I've been seeing mental health in our schools, mostly through our teachers. I think that I can confidently say that some of my teachers are the people who I turn to immediately when something happens to me. And that's been really helpful because our teachers see me the most, know what's going on, know if I'm acting strange or if there's something affecting me. And I'm really seeing these teachers step it up in ways that, they're not really required to do. So if I'm going through a crisis or if I'm kind of having an off day, a lot of my teachers come up and ask me what's wrong, or, hey, do you want to come in for lunch? We can do a little chat. And this really just listening to me and hearing me out has been really helpful for me to clear my head and actually felt heard.
All right, no, thank you. And so another question from our audience is there is a significant student segment of each school that does not participate in activities like student government. What do you or your school do to not only reach out, but do include these students in mental health support or other types of activities in the building?
So at Quince Orchard, we have a large population of Latino students. And like you said, they're often not really engaged in stuff like SGA or being a part of leadership things, especially mental health things, because how stigmatized it is in the community. But in creating smaller groups and clubs that are more like open to accepting all students of any race and background, and creating a space where you can talk about issues not only within the school, but within your own personal life, your own family, with your friends. I think that's a way to, like, the best way to cope with not having these students engage in things that most students in the school do, but also allowing them to have an outlet to say and like express their feelings.
In my school, we kind of have more smaller specialized clubs, kind of like Florencia said, where you can go and kind of take a stress outlet. Like, we've got different sports clubs, we've got a GSA, we've got the SGA, but we've also, it's just more Rubik's Cube clubs, game clubs. It's just kind of a way to go and do your own thing without worrying about what's going on at home, so it's a good outlet, a good healthy outlet.
Well, thank you.
Another question from our audience. How do you cope when you're stressed out?
Yeah, so I think I cope by hanging out with my friends, going out, kind of removing myself from school or whatever is stressing me out, and kind of having like that hour or two for myself where I'm actually doing something I enjoy. And that's been really helpful, because we all need to have hobbies or things that we need to do that really helps us de-stress, helps us really take our mind off of things. Because if we're always in that grind mode or that mode of us like always, getting the next assignment done or like finishing the next college essay, we're never going to have a chance for us to give ourselves a break. So just taking that 1 or 2 hours of doing something that you really enjoy.
I agree. One way that I de-stress, I know just like you, I spend time with my family and I spend time with my friends, because I think it's really important when you know you're stressed and you recognize that, to remove yourself from the situation so you can sit back and think before reacting or acting a certain way because you are stressed. So it's really important to remove yourself from the situation, sit back, relax, and think. So that's how I de-stress.
Oh, thank you. And I know we have a similar question to that later, so we're going to get going now. I have another question here from the audience, but this one is for Dr. Barnett. And so it says, did your parents know that you were cutting yourself?
No, my parents did not know that I was cutting myself. Most students that are cutting themselves wear long sleeves, and I cannot tell you how many schools that I've spoken at, and kids will walk up to me after I finish talking and pull up their sleeve, and it's like a track, mark. And I would encourage parents, because if you press a child, they're going to give you some pushback. But watch, because this is the era of kids wearing hoodies all year round. I live in Texas, and kids, it's 110, the kid has hoodies on, and I'm trying to understand that. But a lot of the kids who were wearing these hoodies were cutters, and I'm not saying all of them do, but my parents were not knowledgeable of that. It was something that I was able to hide, because you can either throw on a long sleeve shirt and just, hey mom, hey dad, and go off into your room and just kind of be by yourself. But no, they did not know.
All right, no, thank you for that. And I also want to make mention, especially for many of our students or others, individuals who may be watching online, or even anybody that's here. We do have our mental health professionals that are here in the audience. If anybody has somebody they want to speak to, and if you're at the chat and you want to talk to somebody, we have mental health providers that are watching the chat if you have somebody you need to talk to. But there's also 988. And I don't know how many people here in the audience are aware of our new, well, been around for a year now. Our 988 number is a free resource where if you are struggling or need to talk to somebody around mental health, it's a hotline that is available for you to go call. They have resources in multiple languages, and so if you're at any time, day or night, if you are struggling, you need somebody to talk to, you can call 988, and they have people, and you can also text 988, and there are people there that you can talk to around if you're having mental health concerns or if you're having a mental health crisis. And so it is available, again, 24/7 for people who are in crisis, or you have a friend who's in crisis and you need to call somebody to get support and help. So I just wanted to throw that out there as we're having these conversations.
What are some ways that teachers or school staff or even students can be better educated on more serious mental health disorders such as schizophrenia?
I think that by being knowledgeable, right? Because I know that's really it's really easy for us to just say things that hurt people and we don't really mean it. So educate yourself first. And if you don't know, stay silent and ask questions instead. Because you might say something that you think that it's helping them, but in reality, you might be causing more harm than good.
Anyone else? No? Oh, go ahead, Alex.
I'll just add on to what Daniel said. I definitely agree, in addition to getting knowledgeable, making sure you're just not offending the person, especially if they are coming to you as a person of support. You want to make sure that you're being respectful and considerate of that interaction, because it is probably very intimate to them, and you might be the only person they have told that they are feeling this way. So making sure you're acknowledging their feelings and making sure you say that they are valid for experiencing that. Yeah.
Right. No, thank you. And now I have a question here from the audience, but I'm going to be a little bit selfish here because I'm going to sit here and I'm going to ask it, and then I'm going to answer it just because I'm putting a plug in for our Saturday event. So the question is, so what training and resources for families and other adults that we are out there to help our youth? And one of the things that I want to share for those of you, we have our annual, our Saturday, we have our mental health resource fair, which is virtual. And so it is from 11:30 until 1 p.m. This Saturday, November the 4th. And again, it's virtual, so you can watch it from the comfort of your home in your jammies if you wish. And so we're going to have numerous mental health agencies be present to share what are some of the resources that are available for our families in MCPS, training that's available. And also we'll have representatives from different agencies and also from our Minds Matter student clubs that will be here to provide support. And one of those things, I know, like one of our agencies, I think that's in the audience here, Every Mind, like for example, like they do youth mental health first aid training. And we do youth mental health first aid training here at MCPS as well. I know our crisis coordinator over there helps to manage and facilitate them so that for if you have adults or staff members who want that training, they can learn more about mental health. Some of those questions you had about, understand like what is schizophrenia? And that some of that is covered there. So we do have our resource fair this Saturday that'll provide some information that'll answer that question.
So if each of you lived in a perfect world, what would it look like for students to get their mental health support?
I think it would be that every single school has the same resources, as in equity. Just because one school is struggling a little bit more when it comes to mental health doesn't mean they deserve all the resources, because it's the peace of mind of knowing that you have the resources available, even if you might not need it, that I know helps a lot of students. So it's really important that not just specific schools like in Upper County have a school psychologist, Bridges to Wellness, and a social worker. It's important that our schools in Down County have it as well. So I think equity plays a really big role when it comes to mental health resources.
And for me, in a perfect world, it would be the stigma of mental health, where people are allowed to openly express how they feel, and we're allowed to talk about it instead of just saying, oh, no, I'll keep that to myself, or I don't think that people are going to appreciate what I really say. Just being able to talk about it, and there's no pushback saying, oh, it's just a bad day, or you're just being too sensitive, because that can really hurt someone.
All right. Now I'm going to ask our last question of the evening. And so now, as a tradition with all of our Waymaking videos, we close with a question to help others to become more resilient. And so we know there's a lot going around us lately, and that we've had incidents in MCPS that have disrupted the school day and also, created a sense of concern for safety and other global events that have weighed heavily on all of our minds. And so some of the things we discussed are, so as a reminder, so who are the people that we can go to in our schools and potentially at home that can help us if we feel like that we are in need of help? And then also, any of you have suggestions or feedback for our students to help them to stay resilient during this time?
I'll say, to answer the first question, the people who you can reach out to, really anyone that you trust is going to be there to support you, even if they redirect you to someone else. Just being able to talk to anyone, any of your trusted friends, whether that is another student or another adult, making sure you just start that dialogue so that at least someone you trust you've reached out to and they can maybe help you get the ample support that you need. And to answer the second question about being resilient, personally for me as a musician, I play my instrument. It's a creative outlet, and I know for Dr. Barnett, he started to do a sport. So making sure you have an outlet and maybe a separate community in that outlet around you that you can connect with and develop together.
To answer your second question, I think that students need to keep in mind that just because you have limited access to mental health awareness or like mental health care does not mean that you do not deserve it. Like we were saying, teachers, school psychologists, counselors, they're all here to help you. So even when you feel like there's no one around you in your family or in your school, all the adults around you do care about you, even if they're not even your teacher or they're not your counselor. Just be open to talking to somebody, even if you've never spoken to them or you've known them all your life. Just know that your feelings matter and that someone out there is willing to help you.
I think one way that really helps people stay resilient is joining a group of like-minded individuals, whether that's playing a sport, playing an instrument, or just joining a club. I know for me, a way that I stay very resilient is because I'm in the club Our Minds Matter, and being surrounded by lots of like-minded individuals really helps me process emotions and get through my day. So I think it's important to maybe join a club, join a sport, and figure out what really helps you.
I think it's important to do things that you love and be in a place where you feel comfortable, whether it's in your room or outside in the library. And it's important to do things that you really enjoy and have a way to take stress out of your life in a healthy way, like reading a book or going for a walk or hanging out with your friends or your family. So yeah.
So I think that's really important that you talk to an adult that you trust. Because I know that our generation, like me as a teen, that talking to adults can be scary. I might not want to talk to an adult. I might feel like that they might not get me. But 9 times out of the 10, an adult knows a little thing or two about what you're actually dealing with. So just talking to an adult, it doesn't have to be a parent. It can be a counselor, a teacher, a trusted family member, a family friend, anything of the sort, just someone that you can trust. And for the second question, I think, again, we echoed it all day, but it's doing something that you really like. Because if you don't have some downtime to yourself, then you're going to get burnt out, and then it's going to be a lot harder for you to recover from that instead of just having maybe a 30-minute to an hour break. So for me personally, I love to surround myself with people. So doing something as simple as just going on a 30-minute drive with my friends, it can be basically to nowhere. Like I might just be driving in circles, but for me, it's really the journey that counts, not the end goal. Thank you.
No, and we really want to be able to thank our panel for being here with us today and sharing their insights. And Cheryl, we truly do appreciate what you've had to share with us, and it really is important for us to really be able to get that street level data and hearing from the students what's going on in our schools and the different types of support that they feel is needed to help all of our kids in MCPS. So again, thank you. And do we have to watch the videos? No? Yes? No? Oh, no? Okay, so with that, and again, I'm going to close and we're going to give the mic back over to Dr. Barnett, who has a few closing words.
Oh, I thought they'd close it out. Man, can y'all give them a round of applause? All of them. Yeah. This was, I was sitting here, I mean, this was impressive. Each of you need to run for office. Man, you guys are good. And you can tell that they were thinking about the question, they were thinking about their response. And Daniel, I know you say you're driving around in circles. I don't know where you get that gas money from, but man, you can help me out because I can't drive around in circles. I got to walk around in circles. Gas is too high in Texas. But no, man, thank you guys for sharing. I think these moments of active listening is what I call these moments are so necessary. And I'm going to talk with Miss Julie because I would love to do something here visually and have you guys be a part of that for students. I really think that would be very transformative for the students, you know, creating 2-minute clips of real issues in real time and how do you respond, and then including the different ethnicities and understanding the different stereotypes from the Latin community, from the Asian community, and from all of the other different communities that we don't have an understanding of how mental health isn't talked about in households because of the cultural dynamic. So you guys have really encouraged me, and I just want to say thank you for the work that you're doing as a student body. Your students are very blessed to have you guys to advocate for them, and you guys are advocating from in your own uniqueness, and that's great because these students need to see other students like you. To the parents, I want to say thank you guys for coming out on this Wednesday night and for this program, and if you guys can give a round of applause to the teachers and school officials for putting this together. I do this on a regular. I have a tour titled Just Heal Bro. I've done 24 cities in 18 months. We average 300 to 500 men. That's what I do on tour. And then I do these things by myself. So my tour consists of 4 other brothers that I travel with. And I cannot tell you how many times when we do these that someone walks up to me afterward and says, "Thank you. I came here with some very negative thoughts, and this program helped to change my thinking." So do not take for granted that this is just something that they're checking off their list. This is a very pivotal experience. This is a very transformative moment and event that they're sharing with the students and the parents. So I want to encourage parents, know that you're on a journey with your child. You're on a journey with your nephew, with your niece, with your neighbor's friend. It's a journey. We're all learning because the world that we were raised for no longer exists. And so this is a different world, and they are faced with different challenges daily. They are bombarded, they're harassed daily on what they should look like, what they should wear, how they should dress, and how they should behave. You know, you should go to this college. Like, we're in the era where somebody shares that they've received 30 letters, 30 scholarships, and now you have a kid who's only got 2 who's depressed. That's the generation that we're in. And I think, Daniel, one of you said it, talking about being a bit more patient. Just being a bit more patient, not only with your child, but with yourself. Because you have your own mental health battles, parents. You have your own daily struggles that you may not share with your children or with your child. So there's a process that I would hope that you will go through as an individual before you engage with the family. Because sometimes we're not, I don't think we're intentionally trying to dump on those that are close to us, but those that are close to us end up being innocent bystanders, as I like to say, in our emotional drive-bys. Because we don't consider the pressure that they're dealing with. And if we can all be more gracious, and patient. That's what I would love to see in a perfect world. Just giving each other a little more grace, that we're all on a journey and no one really has the answers. We're learning as we go. And this experience tonight has been so encouraging to me because I've never been a part of a community and a district mental health program. So to the school district, thank you for hosting this, because I'm sure this has helped these young people that are here tonight, and it's also helped their parents. So in closing, I would say this: your mental health should always be a priority, because the state of your mental health will determine the quality of your life. So make sure you hold that priority and allow everything else to fall underneath. Thank you.
All right, so and in closing, I want to remind folks of our MCPSmentalhealth.org website, where we have resources and videos and information to help people to understand more about mental health and understand some of the activities and things that are going on this week. We also have our Be Well 365 website that has additional resources, information about like who are the mental health providers in your school. I know some of your students are here like, well, I don't know, my school has a school psychologist. Yes, she does. Yes, it does. You can go online and look that up. And what you've all, especially for our folks online, and for our folks who are here in the audience, you have the slide up that has the QR code for how to get access for your SSL hours. If you are here in the audience, we have a sheet for you to pick up, for you to complete and submit. But if you are online and you are watching this, here is the QR code for you to fill out the form to get access for your SSL hours for watching today. We also have an evaluation link that is on the screen. You can go to this QR code to fill out the evaluation for today's event. We do take your feedback. We look at it, and it'll help us in planning future events. And so, as always, I want to thank all of our people behind the scenes who helped to develop and to plan and put together our event, all of our volunteers, our MCPS TV crew, everyone who's here to support our event for today. Our panelists for being here, our guest speaker, our keynote here for Dr. Barnett for being here to help with this. And as always, I want to thank all of our viewers online and all of our audience participants for being here for our Waymaking special on student mental health. And so again, we thank you all for being here and hope that you all have a great evening. Thank you.